The power of community is one of those core values. It is the foundation of which long-lasting change is built. We believe that school communities should hold decision-making authority over their staff, program, and budget. When OUSD granted school communities more of these freedoms in the mid-2000s, we saw tremendous persistent academic and cultural improvement. You have 4 minutes to answer the following questions. I have 2 statements. I believe that the school should have the decision-making authority over their operation. I believe that the central office should manage most decisions in their district. Which of these statements best describe your opinion on the district school government? What do you see as the implication of school, family, and teachers? Please be specific in addressing the areas of staff, program, and budget in your response, please.
Thank you for the question. I do believe that schools should have decision-making authority over their operations, and there are 4 key areas as you delved into already. Budget, the freedom to make decisions about the curriculum, the control over the length of the school day and the school year, and certainly better control over staffing decisions. But in the area in which we live, it all starts with the money, unfortunately, and schools are facing a funding shortage. It's even worse if you're a charter school. So the best possible thing that we can do is to give the people who actually understand what is happening in their school the authority over their budget, and that means the ability to not only participate more fully in the local funding control process, but also seeking outside assistance through philanthropy and other fundraising efforts. This also goes back to parent engagement. The more engaged parents can be, the more you're going to be able to tap into individual fundraising to support programs that the district cannot afford to fund at the moment. As far as being able to make choices about the curriculum, one of the downsides to the focus on reading and math is that we have completely neglected, in my opinion, civic education. Schools are not warehouses for children. They are meant to create educated citizens. And if you go out and you look at Black Lives Matter protests these days, it amazes me how we're able to get kids out there and how the message stops when the protest ends. There's no follow-on work, and we very much neglected to teach our children how to be civically engaged in a way that actually leads to change in their society. So to that end, I would very much like to see more effort made to increasing education in history and civics, in literature, and in ways that we can, help raise a community that's going to have to, take control one day and then teach their own children how to be engaged citizens. One of the most important things we can do is to ensure that our kids are actually in school for a longer period of time. It's one of the few data points that we know correlates to better outcomes, both in 6-year college graduation rates and in social mobility measures. So, without a doubt, increasing the school year, increasing the length of the school day to make sure the kids are in a classroom with a high-quality teacher is one of the best things that we can do to ensure that these outcomes are manifest. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to allow each school to decide what is best for their particular community in that respect. And certainly better control over staffing. We need to be able to give our schools the ability to choose the teachers that are most appropriate to their community. Part of that is going to be by increasing pay overall, but part of that is going to be ensuring that we're not bound by arbitrary rules in making hiring and firing decisions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The next question is from Danielle.
I'm Danielle Matthews, OUSD parent, and I'm a part of United Families Building Community. There are over 49,000 Oakland students in public schools, of which about 12,000 attend charter schools. OUSD has recently announced an initiative called the Equity Pledge, which is meant to create a new culture of cooperation between district and charter schools. As a result of this cooperation, new agreements can be created to address equity issues in a number of areas between district and charter schools. Ultimately, it should strengthen public education across the city. Equity issues do exist across district and charter schools, and that addressing these issues head-on will ensure a higher quality education for schools. Bo believes that cooperation between district and charter schools is not just practice but is necessary for a healthy culture. Everybody will have to and should make compromises on behalf of students. You will have 4 minutes to answer 2 parts of this question. First, do you support the Equity Pledge initiative? Why or why not? Second, do you believe that you will hold some responsibility towards charter school students? Why or why not? And how will this affect your decision if you were to become a board member?
Thank you for the question. The short answer is yes, I do support the Equity Pledge initiative. In short, for a practical reason that 25% of our students in Oakland are in charter schools. And we need to work together to ensure that the district and charters are collaborating effectively to serve the needs of all students. End of story. Equity Pledge is a great step forward in that work. And you can see it right in the Equity Pledge charter. I mean, they're focused on issues of accessibility, accountability, equitable access to resources. These are exactly the kinds of issues that the district and charters can work together on, and if they collaborate well, can actually make amazing gains for student outcomes. A couple of examples of that. When it comes to facilities access, there's an excellent opportunity for a symbiosis between OUSD and charters to leverage private funds for substantial capital improvements to OUSD infrastructure. What happened late last year with Lazier is an excellent example of that. You take an aging school with aging infrastructure, you've handed it off on a long-term lease, and allowed access to a myriad private funds to improve that school infrastructure. And in the worst case scenario, at the end of 40 years, the district gets back a building that is 50 years younger than what it had to begin with. In the meantime, you've created a revenue stream for the district to help close some of the funding gap elsewhere. Those folks are paying rent. It's not free for the charters to take those buildings, okay? Improving instructional practice, as I alluded to earlier, this is another obvious area in which district can collaborate with charters and take advantage of the charter's willingness to innovate in instructional practice, learn from them, take those lessons and apply it in the district schools where it's appropriate. We want to govern transparently, and we can see Oakland Unified making huge strides in that in terms of their own fiscal transparency. We certainly expect the same of charters, but it's amazing to me, I sit on the board for one of our local charter schools. It's amazing to me how we get absolutely nobody from the greater public attending our meetings at all. If you want transparency, show up. It's as simple as that. I welcome it personally. We have our board meetings at Community School for Creative Education every once a month on Wednesdays throughout the year. I welcome you to come. We enjoy your input and figure out how we can be better partners to you in the community. I am concerned I went to the May community meeting for the Equity Pledge. I have to say I was greatly concerned at the tension in the room. It felt like folks from the district were forced to be there. I mean, I'm not saying they were, but it just felt that way. It felt very uneasy to hear people talking openly about matters of facilities, special education, which seems to be the third rail in Oakland education politics these days. My sincere hope is that through the efforts of the Equity Pledge, that we ease that tension and really look to each other as partners in the work rather than opponents.
Okay, thank you. Our next question comes from Cesar.
I'm a parent here, West Oakland, mini organizer. I'm also LCAP member, District 3. As board member, one of the most important jobs will be to evaluate the performance of the superintendent. We know that speaking directly about superintendent's performance review publicly will be a violation of confidentiality for city board members. So I have 2 questions. You have 4 minutes to answer each question. First one. So without speaking about the current superintendent, what actions will you take as a board member to ensure that the superintendent has a scope of work that is high impact, clear, and achievable? Second, after you have taken those actions, what information do you need to know in order to understand whether a superintendent is being effective?
Thank you for the question. So as I talked about earlier, one of the things that I find, one of the positive developments that I've seen in recent years is the publishing of the balanced scorecard, so that we all have our hands on some common metrics regarding the performance of the district. And it is an amazing development because beforehand everything was completely opaque. We had no idea, really, without doing some serious digging, what was happening. The KPIs, the key progress and performance indicators that we're looking at on the scorecard are one aspect of managing with data. What I would love to see personally is greater detail on how those data are being used and in how they're being used at what level of the organization. We have all of these metrics, and we hear them talked about at board meetings. How are they being used in executive meetings? How are those translating to team meetings at lower levels and one-on-ones between principals and teachers and team leads? Those data, that is really important to me to understand how we are actually assessing performance in a data-driven manner throughout the system. And that's the one thing I find lacking in that, and something that I hope to help improve if I were to be elected. Those data are key to evaluating the superintendent's performance, obviously. It's, the other major thing that I would love to see happen, as I alluded to earlier, is a shift from mere input and output metrics to substantive impact metrics. The key thing that I really want to know, as I said earlier, is how is the work that we're doing now actually leading to long-term, social mobility for our students? Are they able to access career? Are they, do they have A to G so that they're ready to go to a UC or Cal State? If not, we're failing our kids. And the superintendent should be judged on how well we are preparing them for career and success and civic engagement. That having been said, the superintendent deserves our, especially in this case, deserves our support. He has gone an incredible way in terms of mending the relationship between OUSD and charters, which has been this crazy distraction, I think, from serving kids in the district. I'm very proud to see that the board has kind of stepped in and shut down defamatory comments that occurred during public comment periods of recent board meetings. Apparently, certain members of the public feel entitled to treat public comment periods as the soapbox for their stream of consciousness sharing. And I'd like to see that stop, personally. I'd like to see meaningful commentary occurring in our meetings so that we can actually treat this as something that we're actually in together to solve, and not that this is some war that we're going to fight out to a bloody end.
Thank you. For the last couple of minutes here, you have 2 minutes to use as you will, just as closing remarks to share some final thoughts.
So I got the opportunity to talk a little bit about my background at the outset. I have a long history serving others. I've worked in the nonprofit sector almost my entire career. I've had a taste of politics at the national level, which I will be honest with you, I'm glad I'm out of at the moment. And I've had deep expertise running large organizations, both on the finance side and operations organizational dynamics side. And in my 15 years plus working in the nonprofit sector, we've made incredible strides about managing with data and using data to improve outcomes. And I really look forward to the opportunity for doing that, bringing that same skill set to Oakland Unified and helping us overcome some of the difficulties that we face right now, both financially and creating good opportunities for our students, preparing them for career and success in life.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking Michael.